Katrina's Creations Knitting Podcast. This is episode 63. The shawl gets a name. Yes, we have a name for the shawl, and I will tell you about that and the winner a little bit later on. I wanted to welcome back all of our returning viewers, and we've had a lot of new viewers, so welcome to the knitting group. If you aren't a member, just click the subscribe button down below, and that way you will get notification. Actually, if you click the little bell, you'll actually get a notification anytime I post, which is normally on Saturdays, but sometimes I throw extra things in. I've got a Knit Crate box due anytime, so there should be an extra video coming up sometime this week whenever it comes in. I was hoping it would be here for today, but it hasn't gotten there. So anyway, we have had a lot of exciting things going on. There's a lot of you who have told me you are participating in the aock-along, and that is great. I'm so glad to see so many people participate. It makes it so much more fun. And a lot of you are new to knitting socks, so that's even more exciting. So hopefully you will learn some different techniques and can just have a lot of fun along the way. And we are going to have a prize, which is as of yet to be determined, but I will tell you more about that as well when we get to that portion of the podcast. So last week I asked you all to let me know where you were from, and we got to talking about the weather and everything. So thank you for all of you who told me where you were from. It was really interesting to see so many of you from all over the world. So I thought I would give a few shout outs to the people who responded. So special hellos to Bev in Newfoundland, Yoka in the Netherlands, Monica in South Carolina, Tina and Diane in Ohio, Sarah in Scotland, who told me she's going to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Are my eyes turning green with envy? Yeah. We could all be very jealous. That would be a fun place to go. So anyway, I hope she has a wonderful time when she goes, and maybe she'll send us some pictures Sarah, if you go and you get stuff, send me pictures in the Yahoo thing so we can all look at what you got. So anyway, then we have Nurse Lolly in West Virginia, Lauren in Northern Ireland, Deborah in Canada, Sharon in Southern New Jersey, which is interesting. She and I chatted back and forth a little bit because my son actually worked at a camp in South New Jersey right after college. So he was there for not quite a year, but almost a year. There's some really good Italian food down where he was. He was in Hamilton, South Jersey. Really good Italian restaurant we ate at. I just finished eating. I should not even be talking about food, but you know. Then we have Robin in Georgia. We have WT30001 in Southeast Oklahoma. We have Marie in Arizona. So Fun to Sew 11 in Arkansas. So all of you that sent me notifications where you were at, and we all talked about the weather. Has this week been crazy or what? I had work on Monday, and we had ice. We were out on the road doing our bookmobile type of thing. The library actually closed early because the sleet and the ice that were getting ready to come down. And just as we pulled the truck into the garage at where we park, it let down and it was sleeting, and we got sent home early. Today, which is Friday, the temperatures are probably in the 60s. It's just crazy. We ran around with no coats on. Anyway, we could have taken our coats off today. So it's been crazy. So yeah, the ice, I don't mind snow, but I'm not crazy about driving in ice. When my husband and I lived at our former house, we were I guess about 600 feet off of the main road, so we had to plow ourselves out, which we could do when it was snowing, but when it was ice, the tractor just wouldn't do a whole lot. And so my husband had this idea we would break through the ice on the driveway with our pickup truck. So he gets in the pickup truck, and I'm standing out there watching it, and he says, I think I need some weight in the back of the truck. Can you hop on? I wasn't sure how to take that. But anyway, I did it like the dutiful wife that I am. I hopped up on the bumper, and it was clinging like a cat to the back. You know, there's like this little lip where the window of the cab, because it had a cab on the, or like a cap thing on the top of the truck. So I'm clinging to the top of it and the back of the bumper, and this was not an automatic, this was a standard shift truck. So he takes this running charge to get up this little hill that we had to get over. And, you know, of course, like I said, it's a stick shift, so it's not going real smoothly. And he hears this pop and realizes that I just fell off the back of the truck. So he gets out, he comes running around, and he goes, "Are you okay?" And I'm like laying in the ice at that point going, "I'm just making snow angels." So he was like, "Oh, okay, so you're all right." I said, "Yes." He said, "Oh, good, hop back on. Let's try it again." And I did. I got back on it. So, yeah, off we went again, up to the top of the hill, where I fell off the truck again. After that, he sat on the back of the truck, and I rode. You know, I think about it now, it's like, why didn't I think to climb inside the truck in the back? Oh well, hindsight is 20/20. But anyway, that's my ice story. So, let's get started with finished objects. Now, you knew that I had finished the shawl. I talked about this several weeks ago. I'll hold it up again so you can see what it looks like. Make sure I'm holding it the right direction. It's not reversible, but it's so close to reversible for most of the sections. So anyway, this is it. And the official name for the shawl is, drum roll, I can't figure out how to make sound effects work on the YouTube editing stuff. So anyway, the official name is Keeping You in Stitches. So it is available on Ravelry. The pattern went live just the other day, and it is a $5 pattern. However, if you use the coupon code, when you get ready to check out, it'll ask for a coupon code. If you put in KC10, it will give you 10% off of that pattern. Actually, I think it'll give you 10% off of any of the patterns that I've got up on my design stuff. So anyway, again, the name is Keeping You in Stitches, and I knitted a second one. So let me show this one to you. And I'm going to pop in some pictures because my granddaughter actually modeled these, like wearing them, because, you know, fat lady wearing it is just not as attractive as watching a cute teenager do it. So anyway, she's modeling it for me, but here is the second test knit of it that I did. And this is out of some yarn I got from Knitology. It's called Baneberry. And it is a variegated. And while I think it looks pretty, I think the solid colors in the shawl show the stitches better, because even though this yarn actually blocked out much better than my original did. I mean, this stretched out, it's very defined, but I just don't think the stitches show up as well with the variegated. So anyway, I also want to I will insert the pictures of my granddaughter modeling both of these right here. And then I wanted to also insert pictures of the shawls that my two test knitters knitted for me. And I again want to thank Yoka and Monica for being my test knitters, for being patient with some of the little bloopers that were in there, because I had some typos and some computer issues and stuff. They both are super speedy with knitting, because I did not expect to get this released until the end of January. The two of them beat me to the finish line with this shawl. So anyway, I want to say special thanks to both of them, and I'm going to insert the pictures that they sent me of their finished product here. Now the winner that initially gave me the name Keeping You in Stitches is Daisy Jane on Ravelry, and so she had submitted her entry on Ravelry, and so she has already received her pattern. She and I have already talked, and so yes, she already has her pattern. But thank you to all of you who entered suggestions. There were some I really liked, and then I went and checked them against Ravelry and found out there were patterns with either the same name or similar names, so I had to kind of weed a lot of those out. So, but thank you all for your suggestions, and yeah, let's get on to some of my other projects. Well, like I said, my other finished project was this purple one, which I am going to be entering in the Cherry Pearls podcast. They have a knit along going right now that runs till February 28th, I think. No, I'm not sure. Whenever Mardi Gras ends, that's when it ends. So I'm not sure because I'm not into Mardi Gras, but I entered it last year just because it was kind of fun and I already had something purple. You have to knit something that is in the Mardi Gras colors, which I guess are purple, green, and yellow, I think, or gold, something like that. So I figured I've already knit something and it finished within their timeline, so why not? So anyway, it's getting entered into the Crew of Yarnius. That's the name of the knit along that they have. So if any of you are knitting things in those colors, go over to their Ravelry page and check out in their group, and you could enter too. So let's see, I have been working on my cozy memory blanket. I've done 5 squares this week. If you remember, I showed you this square last week. That's what this shawl is made of. So my notes are getting ready to fall onto the ground. I had 2 pages of notes today, so it's like all propped up all over the place. So anyway, I did this square here. And I don't have names for for any of these colors actually, because they were ones that the lady I ordered, all of the colored ones were ones that I got from Paula off of eBay, from the Really Knit Stuff that I did my yarn advent calendar on. I had ordered from her before, so some of these are from the time before's order. So I have this one and this one. This is one of my favorites. So I like the greens in it. They're showing up yellow, but it's actually real light greens. And then this is just a black that I happen to have, because I do every other one solid and every other one variegated. And here's this one. I like this one too. I like the colors, especially how it goes together with this nice yellow here. And then I did a red one. So I did 5 squares this week to add into it. And then I worked at knit night, and I worked a little bit last night as well on my On the Spice Market. I am really trying to get some of my projects finished, and I just dropped a bunch of stitches here. Oh dear. There we go. Okay. Here's my On the Spice Market. This is by Melanie Berg. This is the tail end of it. It's a shawl knitted on the bias. And I love this pattern. And this has turned out so soft because this is that yarn that is made out of sugar cane. So it is just super squishy and soft. And I think this is going to be for my mother for next year. I'm already working on Christmas presents because this is going for my mom for next year. And the purple shawl, my daughter saw it yesterday and said, "Oh, I really like that. I really like those colors." And I was like, okay, ding, 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 Christmas present. So yeah, so that's taken care of. So I've been working on that. And then I've been working a little on my poncho. So let me show you. This is where I was last week. You can see the stitch marker. So I've gotten about 8 rows done. So this is it so far. This is the second half of the poncho. And it actually is going to go sideways like this. So the other half is done, and this is how much yarn I've got left, which is quite a bit. And I didn't show you on the spice market where I was last week. I don't know if the stitch marker, yeah, there's the stitch marker. So you can see this is where backwards there. That's where I was last week. So I knitted like 2 rounds. I'm getting ready to knit the next color section, the little kind of pink section. So now I'll show you my socks. Now we have our sock along running. It is running until February 28th, and I'm going to announce the winner on March 3rd on that Saturday episode. Now, if you did the tutorial with us last week, if you're knitting along with the podcast, you should have finished your cuff last week, which would be the first 12 rows. I think it's 12 or 13 rows here. And we are using the Blueberry Waffle Socks pattern by Sandy Turner. And so this week, you're going to be knitting the leg. Now, I made my leg kind of long, just because I wanted to come up my leg further, because I'm going to wear these like slippers. So anyway, here you can see the pattern. It's very, very easy. And so I am going to I'm going to insert the tutorial for this section right here. This is the second week of our sock along. I am using the Blueberry Waffle Socks by Sandy Turner. You can use any pattern you would like. This is a free pattern available on Ravelry. And so this is the pattern that I'm using. And according to the instructions, it called for you to cast on 52 stitches and knit a 2x2 ribbing, which is 2 purl, 2 knit, 2 purl, 2 knit, 2 purl, so on, for 12 rows. And so I have done that, and this is what it looks like so far. The next portion of the pattern has you doing a 4-row repeat, and what those rows are, and I've done one repeat just so you would be able to see it. Let me move it up close here for you so we can focus. I'm going to pull this apart a little bit. Here's my pattern right in here. What you do for this is you knit 2 rounds in the knit stitch all the way around, and then the next 2 rows you are going to once again do the 2x2 ribbing stitch. Now you do want to make sure that when you do your 2x2 stitching that it lines up with what was already existing in your cuff here. In other words, you want to make sure that your knitting stitches fall within where your knitting rib is here. Otherwise it's going to look a little strange. It'll look like you're stepping out of pattern. So you are going to, here's part of the pattern here. You can just faintly see it because I've only done 1 round. And you are going to continue this 4-row pattern repeat for 6 to 8 inches. Those are the recommended lengths. You could make it any length you like, but they recommend 6 to 8 inches to the top. You're going to measure however high you want it coming up on your leg to the top of your heel. So you're going to knit however much you need going this direction, so that you have a the length that you need for your sock that will take it to the top of your heel. So that is this week's part of the assignment. And now look at the little kind of striping I've got going on in here. That's what mine looks like. There's mildewy sections that I said looked a little on the mildewy side. This is them right in here. So they don't look up, they don't knit up looking bad, but yeah, and there's some of the other parts that kind of looked a little mildewy when it was in the skein. So again, that's our assignment this week, is to do the leg, and you're going to knit however long you would like your leg to be, and wherever you end will be the top of your heel. And next week we will begin the heel portion of our sock. Okay, so that is week 2's tutorial. Now I'll show you how far I've gotten, because I'm actually knitting ahead of you guys because I'm filming the tutorials. So last week I had just gotten the heel flap done. So I've now gone out to the gusset and I'm now working on the foot section. I have a couple inches I have a 9 or 9.5 inch foot from my heel to the tip of my big toe. And so I minused off how much my heel space is. And, yeah, no, I took 9.5 inches, and then I measured, you take off 2 inches from the top. So I need to knit, my bottom part of my foot needs to be from the base of the heel to the edge here, 7.5 inches, and then I'll start the toe. So I'm close. I'm probably about 6 inches right now. So I had to get my car inspected this morning, and then it needed to have the tires aligned. So I brought this along, and my husband read, and I sat there and knitted while we waited for the car to get ready. So if you are doing the sock along with us, if you join the Ravelry group over in Ravelry, of course, it's called Katrina's Creations. If you join that group, when you finish this, your first sock, start your second one, and when you finish your 2 socks, enter it into the giveaway thread that is there. And at the end, like I said, at the end of February, I will draw a winner from there. And the prize is going to be a skein of yarn, but I'm not sure which at this point. I'm not sure if I'm going to grab something from my stash or if I'm going to get something else. So I kind of was looking around. I do know it will be sock yarn. Since we're making socks, I wanted to give sock yarn as a prize. So, yeah. So I'm not sure yet, so I'm still looking through some things and making some decisions, but it will be a skein of sock yarn as the prize. So please join us, and it does not have to be a blueberry waffle sock. If there's a different pattern that you like, feel free to make a different pattern. That's just the one that I'm doing the tutorials for. So it's the sock along is open to any sock pattern. And yeah, like I said, enter it, and maybe you'll win a skein of yarn. So I was watching a podcast that Craftsy puts out. The Grocery Girls are on it, and it's called Off Our Needles. And I was watching it the other day while I was knitting, and I got to laughing so hard because they were talking about, are you a gross knitter? Apparently I'm a gross knitter. Because some of the questions were, do you ever knit and end up with hair in your knitting? That you've knitted your hair into your knitting and you don't remove it? I've had that happen. I am hypothyroid, so my hair falls out a lot. It's a wonder I'm not bald. But it ends up in my knitting a lot, and I usually try to pull it. It ends up all over my clothes. It ends up everywhere. But, yeah, I usually try to pull it out, but there's times I've missed it. And it was funny, a few years ago, I made a hitchhiker scarf for my daughter for Christmas, and I kept pulling out hair out of it, thinking, I mean, it was gray, and it was, at the time, my hair was about the same length as what I was pulling out. Partway through, I kept thinking, wow, I'm pulling out an awful lot of hair. Then I realized it was Angora. That was rabbit hair I was pulling out. It was supposed to be there. So, yeah. I de-Angora'd her scarf by accident. So one of the next questions was, do you ever have a ball of your yarn drop off your lap in a public place and roll across the floor, and then you don't wash the product before you give it to or wear it yourself? Yeah, I've done that. I never used to block things. I do now, but I never used to block things. I didn't really realize what the difference was between blocking and not blocking. So, yeah, I've done that. I now, when we travel and stuff, I tend to take a big margarine tub, and I cut a hole in the top of the lid, and I stick the ball of yarn through it. Sort of like a yarn ball with a cover, or a yarn bowl with a cover. And I sit it on the bottom of, it can sit in the car, and that way if the yarn ball rolls around on the floor, it's inside a margarine tub, so it's not going to get dirty or hurt or anything. But yeah, live and learn. I have done that one. The next one, do you eat with your fingers while knitting? Guilty. Check. I can do that, yes. Especially on the weekends. My husband and I tend to, that's when we have our snack type of things, is on the weekends, and you know, like cheese and crackers or something like that. And I'm inevitably nibbling on something while I'm knitting and watching a YouTube. So, yeah, guilty on that one. Now, this one I have not done. Knitting on the toilet. Ew. It's like I can't even imagine. But anyway, no, I have never done that. But It's funny though, where people will do different things. A few years ago, when I was taking my turn at driving on the bookmobile, I had to take a course on strategic driving. It's like everybody that drives a county vehicle has to go through this. So they were asking, what is the strangest thing that you've seen people do while they were driving? One of the people had seen someone crocheting while they were driving down the road. And all of us looked at him and was like, how in the world do you do that? Apparently this woman actually had an entire Afghan spread out on the dashboard, was holding the wheel with her fingers, and was crocheting as she was driving down the road. But that wasn't the winner. Believe it or not, somebody actually saw somebody playing a flute while they were going down the road. Yes, a flute. I mean, you have to play a flute with two hands. How they were steering is beyond me. And my grandkids told me yesterday that they once saw somebody playing a trumpet while they were going. They were just doing it with one hand and steering with the other, but they were playing a trumpet while they were driving. It's scary out there, folks. It's really scary. I love to crochet. I mean, well, I'm trying to love to crochet, but I do like to knit, as if you couldn't tell. But I can't imagine driving and doing that. It's like, I don't know. Okay, now the next section, I had one of our subscribers, actually it's Yoka, who was one of my test knitters. We got to talking about spinning. And I don't know how many of you spin. If you do spin, whether it's on it, let me know. Put it down in the comments below if you do spinning. Let me know if you spin on a wheel, or what kind of wheel, because there's different types of wheels. Or if you spin by a drop spindle. Yeah, it'd be fun to hear. So anyway, I have an Ashford traditional spinning wheel. And so anyway, she was asking about my roving stash, my wool stash. So I thought I would show it to you in a few minutes. And if you aren't familiar with spinning and you don't know what I'm talking about when I say rovings, I'll explain really quick. When wool comes off of a sheep, or whatever animal it's coming off of, it has to be cleaned and processed. Now you can do it yourself, or you can buy it already done. I buy it already done because it's just very time consuming to try to comb the fleece yourself. Because when the fleece comes off of an animal, it's like all of the fibers are like all jumbled up, so they're kind of like this, going all different directions. If you spun it just like that, that's what causes your yarn, your wool to be itchy and scratchy, is because wool has barbs on the end of it. That's why it can felt. Yeah, it has like little grabby barbs on it. And if those fibers are going all the same direction, it's going to create a scratchier surface. So, and it a lot depends on the type of sheep. Like merino or one of the softer sheeps, you know, their fleece is one of the softer sheeps, yeah, one of the softer wools. So anyway, the whole purpose of going through the carding process is so that the fibers, instead of being like this, are like this, so that they're all going the same direction. It creates a smoother yarn when you spin it. So I buy it already processed because I don't want to have to worry about cleaning it. I don't want to have to deal with the carding, because I have done it before, but it takes hours and hours and hours and hours. Price wise, it saves you a couple cents per ounce if you do it, if you do it as opposed to having them do it. So for me, it's worth the difference in price. So what they do when they come off of the carding drum, now a carding comb itself looks like a pet brush, like what you would take the hair off of your dog with, you know, with the dead hair, the little metal brush that you use. It looks similar to that, but they're about this big. It's like a giant pet brush, and you have two of them, and you actually comb them together like this. Now, if you're doing large amounts, they go through what's called a carding drum, which is the same type of like prongs on the end, but it's cranked, and it can be cranked mechanically or it can be cranked by hand. And it can be, most of the ones you crank by hand are about this wide, maybe 1.5 to 2 feet wide. But some of the mechanical run ones can be much, much bigger, like industrial ones can be huge. And so anyway, that's what they use to get the fibers all in line. If they just pull the fibers right off of the carding drum, you know, you've got like a big flat surface, you know, a couple feet. That's called a bat. you can spin right from that. Sometimes they will roll it, and they roll it almost like a cigar. It kind of looks like a cigar. They're usually about this long and about as big around as my thumb. And that's called a roll lag. And you just spin from the end of it, and you work your way. And the fibers are kind of spun around like this, and you draw from the center. Or there's called rovings, and all that is they've kind of narrowed that width coming off the drum to about that big around. And then before you spin it, you kind of stretch that roving out. I'm drawing a blank with the name. Drafting, yes, drafting. You pull it out so that you pre-draft before you start spinning. You don't have to, but it just makes it a little more consistent with the thickness of your spinning. So, anyway, I told Yoka that yes, I could show my stash. So, now that you know what rovings are, what you're going to be looking at, I will show you the stuff I've got in my stash. Alright, here is my wool stash, although it's not all wool. So anyway, here's my spinning stash. We'll call it that. This is put out by Fondant Fibers. Here's the first color, and that is pretty true to color. It's called Salted Caramel, and it is 100 grams. This comes from England, but I'll be honest, the prices were really, really good. And here's the label. You can't see this getting blown out. I will put it up on the screen here. Her prices are reasonable, and her shipping was reasonable. And I think when I ordered this, I got it in a week. She was really fast as well. This is a blended merino, and it is gorgeous, and it is so very, very soft. Now, I bought this from her as well, and this is a Black Welsh Mountain. It is also, I believe, 100 grams. Doesn't say on it, but I'm pretty sure it's also 100 grams. It's not as soft as this, but it's close. But see how well these two look together? This has more of a halo. They both have a little halo to them. I don't know if you can see that or not. You know, you can see a little fuzzies on it, but they both have a little bit of a halo. But look how gorgeous that's going to look together. So I'm not sure yet if I'm going to spin this as a 2-ply. I'm going to ply it with this, or if I'm going to spin this and then put this with it. You know, just two separate colors. So I'm not sure, but they go together gorgeously. So yeah, there's one thing that I've got. This I bought from the Purple Fleece. I'm turning this so you can see the label. This is the Purple Fleece. And this is up in Stockton Springs, Maine. She is an independent dyer, and she lives like right along the coast up there. It was a little hard to find where she's at because she's way down in this little cove. But it's nice little, it's a little shop. She has some stuff that's not hers, but majority of everything in there is hers, and she has a dyeing studio upstairs. She also does a monthly fiber club too, which I'm not a part of, but she does have that. And this is gorgeous. And that's pretty true to color. And her prices are also reasonable. This is, and she has a website as well, and you can purchase from the website, so I will put the information down below. And this is called, it's 4 ounces of merino, 100% merino, and the color is called Springtime. See, and this is a braided roving. So I have that. Then I have some alpaca. We have an alpaca farm just down the road from us, and I forget which episode. I'll put a card up above. I went and visited the alpaca farm. So here is the card from there. It's juliesalpacas.com, and you can also order from her online. It is Quarry Critters is the name. So, and this is extremely soft. Now these are fairly thin rovings, but here you can see it. This is kind of what fleece looks like after you pre-drafted it, because you can see this is very thin. Where some of the other fleece, which I'll show you what's in rovings, is a little thicker than this. But alpaca is extremely, extremely soft. It doesn't have quite the barbs to it that that other wools do. Alpaca is still considered a wool, but it's a well, fluffies going everywhere. So now I have some that I got off of eBay that I'm going to put together as a gradient. This is what traditional rovings look like. It's about the same width, but it's a little bit thicker here. So I have 3 balls of red from light to dark. So I'm thinking of doing these as a gradient from either the dark to the light or the light to the dark. So, and I'm not sure the wool content exactly what this is. It didn't come in a package or anything like that. So I have it in red, and then I also have it in 3 shades of purple, and these 2 shades are similar, but they're not exact. There's a little bit of difference in them. There you can see a little bit more difference. So these I'm also going to spin as a gradient. And then I have a whole bag full. I got these off of eBay as well. These are meant for needle felting, but I'm going to do them. I'm going to pull them out. They're just little short stretches of rovings that they've stuffed in for needle felting. This whole bag is these 3 colors. So it's 3 colors of green. This is like a chartreuse, and this is kind of a celery green, and this is more of a kind of a Kelly green. So I'm going to put the 3 of those together. And like I said, I've got a whole bag of these. These are like little 1 ounce packages, and I forget how many ounces I've got, but there's like the whole bag is full of them. So yeah, so I'll be doing those. And then I have the last thing I have. Well, no, I have one more thing too. Let me show you this one. This is cotton that is being spun, and here is the rovings. Now, you may say it looks like wool. This is actually a mix of cotton and shredded blue jeans. Yeah, blue jeans. It's like recycled blue jeans, and this would be how you pre-draft. But you can't really pre-draft as easily with cotton, because if you look at this cotton, see how short the fibers are? Yeah, I guess you can see it. It's about 1.5 inches tops. Yeah, about 1.5 inches tops. So when you spin cotton, you have to spin it at a much faster rate to get enough twist. Where if you look at a wool, and I can pull it here, the fibers are like, at least, these are fairly short and they're like twice as long. But a lot of the fibers are even longer than that, depending on the type of sheep that you're getting, or type of wool in general that you're getting it from. So, yeah, you spin at a faster rate when you're spinning cotton to incorporate the shorter fibers. So anyway, I have cotton, and then I have this, which I have not tried yet. And this is Irish linen. What it really is flax, which is a plant. It comes out of like a reed, and this is the sinew that's inside the reed. It's not barbed like wool. You have to spin this. This is why I haven't tried it yet, because it's a whole different technique. When you spin this, it still has a natural glue inside it. So you actually wet. You spin a couple fibers at a time. You spin very thin, and you join it, not like you would with wool, where you just attach it and the barbs automatically grab, almost like a Velcro. This you have to actually wet, and it reactivates the natural glue in the fibers, and there's like little fluffies floating all over here. I'm going to be sneezing the rest of the night. But anyway, that's how it is joined together. So you're going to try to intersperse the joins, but you actually spin it with, I mean, I'm not talking soaking wet, but you have like a little cup with water in it, and you dip your fingers in it, and you run it along as you spin it. So I have not tried that, to be honest, because I'm a little concerned how I do that without getting I don't want my wood bobbins to absorb any of this water and have them warp or anything like that. So I guess when I try to do this, I might wrap like plastic wrap or something around my bobbin, around the inside of the bobbin, so that none of the dampness gets into the wood. because my bobbins are made of wood. I don't have the plastic ones. I have the old wood ones. So that is my stash. And you know, when I talk about when I said this is like Velcro with the little barbs, I was watching this podcaster the other day. I like watching organizing podcasts, and this lady was organizing stuff, and she got her hair caught on the Velcro on the back of the chair. And I was sitting there laughing because I can so identify. Years ago, except mine's even, talk about gross knitter. This was like gross all the way around. We were staying at someone's cabin, and they had fly pest strips. Yeah, you know where I'm going with this. It wasn't my hair that got stuck in the fly pest strip. They had one dangling right over top of the sink. Every time I leaned over to do the dishes, I got it stuck to the side of my face. 3 times. 3 times I stuck a fly pest strip to the side of my face. In 24 hours, I had a fly pest strip. The people that were with us kept laughing and coming and trying to detach the fly strip from the side of my face. Yeah, it was not good. That beats gross knitting, hands down. So, anyway, that is it for this week, and I will see you again next Saturday, unless the knit crate comes in, which it should. So whenever it comes in, you will see that video come up. So I hope you guys have fun this week with knitting your socks, and follow the tutorial, or like I said, if you're doing your own sock pattern, you know, we're doing the leg right now. So, or if you knit ahead and you get it all finished, you can enter it into the Ravelry group whenever you finish it. So yeah, that's it. So I will talk to you later. I hope you guys have a great week. See ya. Bye.